Hey people, welcome to the Modern Survivalist channel. An important part of survival and preparedness is understanding what's going on, what's happening around you, right? In terms of awareness when out and about on the streets, when you see suspicious things, behaviors, and so on. We all understand that's an important part of preparedness, especially in terms of self-defense, right? And keeping yourself safe from a number of potential situations happening. Now, you can expand this as I try to explain, as always, in my books, in my videos, right? You have the books there below in the description. I expand this to what's going on locally, right? In your community, in your city. And then you expand this more into what's happening in your country, what's going on in the entire globe. I think this is very important. Now, in this video, I have no idea what's going on. I just cannot analyze this. So I'm appealing to you guys, to you folks. Let me know in the United States what you think about this. If you voted for Trump, if you did not vote for Trump, if you're a super pro-Trump MAGA hat guy, if you're a never anti-Trump, this is not my thing. I'm not American. I don't vote here. So I'm just analyzing this from the outside. I can only tell you that from the outside, this is so confusing. And so you just don't know. You just have this feeling of this is what, 4D chess, 5D, 6, 12D chess. What the hell is going on here? Because I have no damn idea. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm not being ironic or a smartass. I'm honestly asking you to please comment below and explain what is trying to be achieved here with this conversation between the President of the United States and the newly elected Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, right? This is what went on.
You had said that Canada should become the 51st state.
Yeah. No. Well, I still believe that, but takes two to tango, right? But no, I do. I mean, I believe it would be a massive tax cut for the Canadian citizens. You get free military, you get tremendous medical cares.
In terms of medical care, whatever you may think of the Canadian medical system compared to the American medical system, I have very strong doubts that any Canadian, as flawed and imperfect as healthcare in Canada may or may not be, you may have your own stories being Canadians, both good and bad. I very much doubt that any Canadian will want to have the American medical system instead of their own. I have extreme doubts about that. Now, the thing I have zero doubts about, zero question, is about this idea of military being free. That is not only not true, not correct, it is actually the complete opposite of being free. Look, nothing is free in this world. Even healthcare, state-sponsored, provided, free medical care, whatever it is that you think of, nothing is really free. Everything is being paid for in one way or another, usually if it comes from the government, by money that is being forced out of your own pocket every month, every year. That's always been the case. Nothing is free in this world. But if there's one thing specifically that is the complete opposite of free, is military spending in the United States. It is not only not free, it is the most expensive thing the U.S. budget has. Nothing is more expensive for the United States government than its military. It is not only that, it is not only the largest military in the world, it is also the most expensive military in the world, right? You may need it or not, it is inflated because of economic reasons, because of interest, lobbying, topic for another video, but it is not at all free. And if Canadians become Americans, they will all of a sudden have to pay for the most expensive military in the world.
Other things, there would be a lot of advantages, but it would be a massive tax cut, and it's also a beautiful. As a real estate developer, I'm a real estate developer at heart. When you get rid of that artificially drawn line, somebody drew that line many years ago with like a ruler,
Yes, someone got a map, got a pen, agreed with their neighbors, and I'm talking about the leaders of each nation agreeing to draw a line. Yes, Donald, they are all artificial lines. If you walk across the border of Canada or Mexico, you will not see a large-ass line of ink in the floor, naturally occurring. We get that. We all understand that all borders are artificially drawn. Sometimes they go along a river, sometimes a mountain formation of one kind or another, and sometimes it's simply an agreement of, okay, we have that line. And that line is super important. This is extremely important because it is a line that finally achieves peace. The idea of this is our border, this is where we end, and this is where you start. And once we both agree on that, even though it's drawn on a map, I mean, we're talking about things that you would explain to a child. Yes, they're all artificial lines. They are very much necessary for us to have a civilized agreement with your neighbor. Yes, there's not an ink line drawn in the floor. And about him being a real estate developer and a very artistic person, I'll just leave it at that because I'm trying to be extremely serious, even though this makes you wonder what he's trying to say at some point. You being a real estate developer does not mean that you just buy or invade land and just annex it as you feel like.
Straight line right across the top of the country. When you look at that beautiful formation when it's together, I'm a very artistic person. But when I looked at that beauty, I said, that's the way it was meant to be. But, you know, I do feel it's much better for Canada. But we're not going to be discussing that unless somebody wants to discuss it. I think that there are tremendous benefits to the Canadian citizens, tremendously lower taxes, free military, which honestly we give you essentially anyway, because we're protecting Canada if you ever had a problem.
That was just painful. If I was American and my president was doing this, I would like, wow, fuck. And the Prime Minister of Canada, which I think he's liberal, he's on the left, and he basically won because of Trump. Because of the conflict that came out of nowhere, a non-existent conflict that emerged out of thin air. The left ended up winning something that they otherwise would have lost. And this thing about, well, we would give you free military aid. First of all, there's nothing free, as I just explained. It would be going from a moderate military expense to the most expensive, most overinflated military in the planet that Canadians, now Americans, would have to pay for. I doubt they want that, really. Let me know, Canadians watching this video, do you want to have that in your budget, right? Do you want to have the military spending that U.S. citizens have now in your own? Now, the idea that we will be protecting you from whom? From what aggressor are you protecting Canada exactly from? It is the U.S. The ones that are threatening the existence of Canada is the United States itself, specifically him, by saying they want to annex Canada. The threat to your existence as a sovereign nation is coming directly from the same president that says that you would be benefiting from joining the United States. I mean, this is a level of discussion that I don't even know what to do with it. That's why I'm asking, what is it that you think of it? What is it that you feel watching this? Does this make sense for you? Because maybe it's lost in translation. As you notice, English is not my first language, so maybe there's something here going on that I just didn't notice. Damn, Canadians speak English too, so do Americans. I don't know why this is even going on.
But I think, it would really be a wonderful marriage because it's two places that get along very well. They like each other.
A marriage means that there's two separate people. There's a woman and there's a man. That's what marriage is. Yes, wokey people out there. Marriage is defined as a religious union between a man and a woman. Whatever else you're thinking of that is not marriage is just stealing words, as these lunatics usually do. All right? Marriage is that. Marriage means that there's two individuals. If you're going to annex and basically eat up the other one and it's going to become one, there's no marriage anymore. Marriage, if you want to put it in that sort of metaphor, it would be a very good relationship between your neighbor. In this case, Canada and the United States. That would be a very close union, political marriage, if you want to call it that. But when you annex and take over someone else, that country no longer exists.
Well, if I may, as you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now, Buckingham Palace, that you visited as well.
Okay, I'll end it there. Let me know what you think. I'm a little bit embarrassed that it gets to this level of conversations. Like, look, Mr. President Trump, some things are not for sale. For example, if I want to buy the White House, how? I mean, it's a nice place in Washington, D.C. Nice. How much is 5 million? 10? Okay, no. $20 million and I buy the White. Be reasonable. I'm an artistic person that likes real estate. Let me know a number. What's the number for buying the White House? You really have to bring the level of discussion down to that to explain that, no, sir, you can't sell the White House at any price because, first of all, it is not for you to sell, and the American people will not sell their capital, right? They will not sell... You are not going to buy the Buckingham Palace either, as long as there's United Kingdom as a monarchy in existence. So, do you really need to bring down the level of discussion to that point? This is not 6D chess or 4D chess. This is kindergarten level of explanation, and I find this concerning, to say the least. See you later, guys. Take care.